be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive, I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. Will forever shine, just to stay alive. That simple means say, nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can control me a stick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can, nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a man power. Strength, no weakness, show them who we are. Strength, no weakness, show me a man power. Everybody strength, no weakness, show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. Everything has to humble. Everything has to humble. I'm a go-getter. I just go hard. I just go hard. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God. Put my trust in God. That simple means say nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can control me. Stick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Yo, just show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a lion power. Strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Strength. No weakness. Show me a lion power. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. That's when you're old.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food delight. Jamaican patties, light and flaky. Caribbean food delight. Taste the difference. Caribbean food delight. Grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Quick and easy, grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight.
Oh yeah. You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. I will survive.
Ride along, welcome to the ride. Welcome to Wednesday. Yeah, man. Wednesday on the ride. How are you doing today? What's up? Riders, June, Noel Park, how you doing, June? Pick up yourself. Phyllis, Samuel, how you doing? Guys, as you come in, go ahead and share up the program. Share the program. And yesterday, guys, I failed to acknowledge the person who came in first. Like she came in even before the program started. Big up to Lydia James. I saw you early up, Lydia James. Big up yourself. Always supporting, always sharing, always being a part of the ride. From day one, from day zero. Yeah, man. And who's first today? Let me see who's first today. Let's see who's first on the ride today. Sonia John. Yeah, look like Sonia John is number one today. Yes, Sonia. Big up yourself, Sonia John. Thank you so much. Yulene, thank you so much. Rena, how are you doing, my friend? I hope you're taking care of yourself, getting a lot of rest, and we love you a lot over here, right? So take good care of yourself. Rena and Noel. Thank you so much, Rena. Thank you so much, Rena. Yes. All right, guys, today we have an interesting program for you lined up. Very, very, very interesting. You're going to learn something new today, guys. Not only the story that this lady is about to tell, Kia, but you're going to learn about a new level of strength. A strength that probably you didn't even know that you have. And you're also going to learn that even when things seems as it's worse for you, still could smile. Because it could get way better. There are people that living with a whole set of problems. Not problems. They don't even see it as problems. They see it as challenge that they're going to overcome. So we're going to learn about Kia Brazil's story today on the ride, guys. I was very, very touched and moved to hear her story. I want you guys to share it. I want you guys to share that time with me. So everybody right now, Lydia, thank you. Hey, Shante, hey. Bernice, how you doing? Everybody share? Everybody share. As soon as everybody share and say I share, we're going to start. Because I want to really dedicate the program
You gotta be firm in this time.
to Kia. That's her program today. Her. All her. All her. Alright?
Survivor.
Alright, let me share the program and then we're going to start.
I will survive. And I'm a firm believer.
Lois JJ, how you doing?
We'll forever
Tamika Rogers, I see you.
stay alive.
Yeah. Guys, let me tell you something also. We got to big up to the folks on YouTube that's listening to us and watching us and supporting us on YouTube.
Let all out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to folks on YouTube. Also, guys, you know, Facebook always on some BS, eh? Facebook always on some BS. So a lot of times people are complaining that they're not getting notification. They have not been getting notification over on Facebook because I don't know how and what Facebook uses to send out notification, and the algorithm that it uses to send out or not send out notification.
Enemies, they must tremble. Enemies, they must tremble.
Oh yeah, the lady again a title. But a lot of people have been complaining. So the only way we could reach these people right now is if you share the program. All right. If you share the program, that's how the other folks will get to know that we're live. Other than that, man, it's crazy. All right. So Phyllis has shared. Lois JJ, yeah, how you doing? Lydia, yeah, she gained a new. Lynn James, Lydia James, sorry, gained a new title. Congratulations on that. Okay, guys, let us start. Let us begin. This video, my next guest is probably one of the strongest female that you will ever meet virtually. And after I got a chance to speak to her yesterday, I learned something that, well, I've always preached, not always practiced, because sometimes I myself get depressed. Like everybody else. Things hurt my feelings. Yeah, I'm human too. Things depress me. Sometimes I feel like, you know, things are just not going right. And I complain about things sometimes. Not to you guys, but I complain about things. And after speaking to my friend, my newfound friend Kia Brazil yesterday, I realized, what the hell am I complaining for? Why am I complaining? Let me show you guys a video. This is Kia. This is her video. Take a quick look and then we're going to bring her on and chat with her. Look at this.
Really, intense isn't the word for it. It was like worse than labor. Within 3 hours, I went from having a stomach cramp to almost dying. The darkest moments, I would say, had to be when I didn't know if I was gonna make it or not. I suffered 3 heart attacks and ended up falling in a coma. My family was told to say their goodbyes, call my children, and the doctors was told I had less than 24 hours to survive. Sepsis ended up causing my fingers and my legs to die out, and they eventually had to be amputated. Me being in this situation, it was like I can either sink and I would bring my kids with me, or I can float. And they'll be selling right along the side of me. Once I woke up, it clearly wasn't the end. I got more days here. I have more time, you know, to live and walk in my purpose. And I feel like...
All right. Short and abbreviated version of that video. Help me welcome, guys, my guest today, Kia Brazil.
Hey.
How the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You taught me something yesterday. After we spoke yesterday, right? I went and I pushed back my chair a bit and I was like, you know what? Why am I even complaining about anything? You are so strong. You are so, everything about you is so powerful. Yet you have You went through so much, and yet you have a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
And you're always smiling, always happy. Welcome to the show, Kia.
Thank you.
Before we start a bit, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Kia. Now I'm 30 years old. I'm just Kia. I'm a mom. I spend all of my time with my kids, either just being with them or usually working. Of course, that has changed for me over the last 2 years, but it just went to being completely revolved around my kids and, not doing the 9 to 5 activities anymore. But you know, enjoyable. I'm very outspoken and outgoing in what I would consider myself.
Right, right. Well, based on what we saw the video, based on what we saw in the little clip that we just aired there, I know our viewers don't quite understand what really transpired, how it really happened, and why I believe that it could happen to any one of us at any given time. So take us back a little bit, Kia, and tell us about your story. What happened? I'm just going to listen, and if ever I interject a little bit in between, but I just want to hear your story. I just want to hear you today. Take us back a bit.
Okay. We'll start back February of 2019. Um, I woke up one morning and I had the girly sensations that I was, going to be starting my menstrual cycle. So I had small cramps, and I would just, do the normal female things, whether it be take a Tylenol, hot shower, or whatever to subside the pain. Of course, it wasn't extremely bad, but just a little intense where, it was noticeable. Throughout the day, I had a dance show that I was getting ready for my little sister. Myself and my family was, getting ready to attend. So I ended up doing my normal duties around the house for my son and daughter, fixing breakfast, washing clothes, and laying everything out for the dance show. Me and my children had set back for the rest of the morning to watch a movie, and I started, having really bad pains again. Eventually, I ended up dozing off on the couch, and time had kind of slipped by. My daughter was waking me up, letting me know that my mom was on her way to pick them up for the dance show. I had called my mom to let her know that basically I wasn't feeling well. I couldn't do the dance shows, but she could still take the kids with her. And that she did. She came and picked the kids up. I still parlayed in the living room of my house. As the evening went on, I would say maybe 2 hours had went by. I ended up linking up with my older sister. We sat around, we were listening to music, just hanging out. I went back home just because the pain wouldn't stop for me. So once I made it back home, it was just like a matter of moments. Like the pain became breathtaking. Like I couldn't I really like almost didn't even understand the pain, how it had just went from some really minor cramps to, oh my God, I can't breathe. Like this pain is like so terrible. So I fell on the couch in my living room and contacted my sister, and I explained to her like the pain that I was just experiencing, it's got way back. It's like terrible. Like I can't, it's hurt. I can't move. So she ran down to my house. And see me in like fetal position. So she contacted my mom and the ambulance to let them know. Well, for one, ambulance, my sister needs help. We need to get her to the hospital. She's complaining of stomach pains, and we don't know what's going on. She then called my mom. My mom, like, well, maybe it's just small stomach cramps. They'll give her medication at the hospital, and she'll be okay. When the ambulance came to my mom's house, they checked my blood pressure and so forth before loading me on to the ambulance and seeing that my blood pressure was low. And I would not leave out of the fetal position that I was in. So once they put me on the gurney, and took me to the, ambulance. It was like a terrible, terrible snowstorm outside. So I ended up getting to the hospital. That ride that could have probably been 10 minutes or so ended up being longer because of the conditions outside. Once I made it to St. Mary's Hospital, the ambulance, they took me in and they explained to the nurse, her blood pressure is low. She's complaining of stomach problems, but we're not sure. I was placed into the emergency waiting room for a little while, and I was like screaming to the top of my lungs, like, I need help. This pain is like so bad. Like, you can't just leave me here. I need help. The people in the waiting room were like literally trying to say, no, she can go first. I don't know what's going on, but take her first. Eventually, I got back into the intake room in the emergency department. They checked my blood pressure and did all the other tests and seen that my blood pressure was dangerously low. So I had to be rushed into the ICU. Upon me being in the ICU, I got a CT scan done, and they were able to see that there was a small fluid collection in my stomach. They did not know what that collection was, but they knew it was some sort of infection. And I was advised, they had to prep me for surgery, and they're going to go in and try and clear it out. In the midst of them prepping me, I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, 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 I didn't.
Okay, in the midst of me prepping for surgery, I remember telling my sister, who was in the emergency with me, like, it's getting real cold in here. Whatever they gave me, it's not working. I'm still in pain. And next thing you know, that was like, I coded. My heart stopped. I had to be revived. The doctors and nurses, they came in and did what they needed to do to try to revive me, but it had got so critical so fast. They advised my sister, you need to contact your family, like, we don't know if she gonna make it, we don't know. Like, my sister, like, wait a minute, what? We just came in here for some stomach cramps and this just turned into her not leaving back up out of here? No way. So she contacted my family. They all end up coming to the hospital. At that moment, the doctors advised them that they would be taking me into surgery to see if they could remove the bacteria, the infection that they seen on my stomach. But at that point, I had already went septic. The bacteria was already fighting against my body. So everything was starting to shut down. Every organ in my body has started to shut down one by one. My mom, my sister, my dad, everybody just was like, y'all do what y'all got to do to try to save her. So in the midst of the first surgery, I ended up having a heart attack, and the heart attack caused me to code again. They advised my family that they were going to try and give me pressure medication, which would revive my organ. But they know that they would end up having to amputate one of my legs just because the circulation was no longer active, and it was causing me more harm to have it, versus trying to still do the life-saving measurements to keep me going. Um, in the midst of the surgery, they ended up telling my parents, like, this is just something that we can't, like, there's nothing more that we can do. There is another hospital, and we can try to get her there by Flight for Life, and they're telling us that they can get everything under control. At this point, I was taken to Freighter Hospital by Flight for Life. Once I got to Freighter Hospital, the doctors assured my parents and my family that they were going to save me. They were going to do whatever they can, but they were going to bring me up out of what the situation I was in. Once they took me into surgery, they performed my first amputation, which was my right leg, and I did suffer from another heart attack. At that point, the doctors did know that I would code again. They told my parents that she's going to die again, but we're going to bring her back. So just know, like, we're going to do all we can. And that they did. Once they were able to revive me and bring me back to a better state, they placed me into a medically induced coma. While I was in the medically induced coma, they pretty much left it up to me and my body to see what I could pull off and see if I can survive the trauma that my body had just been through. Um, Being into a medically induced coma for 14 days, I ended up waking up and I woke up on my own and I woke up to seeing my limbs, the remaining of my limbs, dead. They were completely black. They were cold. They were stuck, like as if I was holding on to something. Like the way my hands are now, they're like in a grip mode where you assume I was holding on to dear life, and I was obviously, but they were stuck. The doctors were telling me like, we're going to leave them and see if the medication that we have been giving you would eventually get your circulation, going and bring life back to them. But the way that they were looking, I pretty much knew that they were dead. My hands were looking like raisins. My foot was like, oh my God, it was so critical. Like it was terrible. And it really hurted me more to see them on my body like that. So at that point, it became like a race to get it removed. I just wanted it removed. I wanted to continue my life the best way I could, but I had to get that. I had to get the dead limbs, the dead flesh off of me. Um, and yeah, like it went from at 28 surgeries of having my hands, my leg amputated, and you know, being able to see my kids again. I'm here.
Wow. So, so this just started as a pain, a stomach pain.
Yeah. Prior to that day in February, I was completely healthy. The only thing listed on my medical records would be sickle cell traits, and I'm not even full blown a sickle cell carrier, but I do have the trait in my blood. However, that had absolutely nothing to do with what caused me to go septic, excuse me. It was literally like a bad infection that our body, so basically the human body we catch infections all the time, and sometimes we may catch an infection and not even necessarily know that we have that infection because the blood cells in our body are set up to fight off any harmful bacteria. What happens with sepsis is when what your body normally does is fighting these bacteria and fighting these germs off, it can sometimes fight against, and that's when the body goes septic, and that's what happened within me. I started off as having a small infection that could have maybe been cured with antibiotics or so forth, but because the infection was so small and it wasn't visible, I didn't suffer from like any symptoms of this infection or anything of that nature. You know how they say with COVID, you have people that are asymptomatic. So they can be carriers and not even know they're carrying it. This was an infection that I was carrying and didn't know that I was carrying this infection. And usually when the human body will fight it off, it didn't fight it off for me. It started to fight against my body and it started attacking organ after organ after organ.
Wow. And the funny thing, as you saying here, I came back to a friend that I remember having on the program. Her picture just came back in my brain because she went to something similar. It started so simple and it manifests into something that could have killed you right away. But
Hmm.
what is the most traumatic thing about it is after you went through this process and then you were faced with the reality that now your limbs, your arm, your fingers, your feet would be amputated. How did that affect you psychologically?
To be honest, I feel like it really didn't affect me. um, it was more so I'm like I don't really know. I think I'm more of a realist. Like I believe that I don't know. Like I can't. like I would more so say like it was more of a shocker to me. Like, wait, is this really going on? Like, did this really happen? But I couldn't really wrap my head around the way my body looked. It was more so that I was awake and I was still able to see everything around me. I couldn't really, that was not my main focus. I guess after experience what I experienced and seeing the things that I seen while experiencing what I went through, that wasn't my focus. The focus was being like, whew, like I can see you again. You know what I mean? Like I can really breathe again. It wasn't like, okay, dang, my hands are messed up. Like my feet is messed up. Like they gotta go. It was more so like, I don't care about that. I can see you again. Like I could touch my kids. Like, and it was being where I was in a state where I knew that I was not possibly going to see my kids again and be able to physically touch them. I knew. And knowing that was just like, how could I take that for granted? And me being worried about my fingers and my feet was basically taking that for granted, in my opinion. So I just couldn't find myself to sit and sink in what had happened because I still had the ability to change what I just went through.
Yeah. Jemilyn Baker was the name. The folks who have been following right along for a while, we had, that's one of our first guests on the program. Ms. Baker had something similar. She later died just a few years ago. May her soul rest in peace. I see her husband, Ian Baker, on the line. But it is such a terrible process for one's body to go through, for your body to go through that. Basically, the bacteria, your body start to fight against itself and start to shut down organs. And you are lucky and strong that you survived it, first of all, physically, and you surviving it psychologically, because people don't take very easy to getting that news that, listen, I may not be able to walk again. My fingers, my hands. But you saw that as just miscellaneous stuff. At least you have life. At least you could touch your kids. At least you could hug your kids. That is powerful. That's a very powerful testimony, you know?
Yeah. And I'm, excuse me, I'm a firm believer in I don't believe that God will put too much on you than you can bear. I'm so firm in believing that. And things that I may have been able to handle, somebody else, of course, may have not been able to. But then again, things that they have been able to handle, I may have not been able to. I strongly believe in the way the brain is a healing itself. And if you strongly believe in your head that you can get past whatever is presented to you, I believe that you can. I know we do have some circumstances where people may question someone getting ill and them getting sick and dying. And they'll say, oh, like, how did you leave me? Or how did you give up so easy? Or why didn't you fight longer? Honestly, I can deeply say that we are all taken to a place that the flesh will not understand unless you visited this place. And I can humbly say that anybody that is no longer flesh, like that is no longer in the flesh, that they are very well carried around in spirit, and once, if you deeply believe that we do have, that there is a God and that, you know, this, I don't really know the exact words for it,
No,
but I'll just,
I get you. You said something to me yesterday as well that I want you to explain further. You said that you felt like you died.
hmm
You died. And very few people, very few friends, or very few could articulate that feeling. I remember speaking to someone that said, when that time or when they felt like they was about to just cross over from the flesh into the spiritual realm, they saw a light, or they saw a dark hole, or they saw a door, they saw something, right? What was your what was your transformation like? Well, it wasn't transformation because you didn't transfer him to the other realm. But how did that feel? At what point did you were conscious to life, and at what point did you become unconscious that you can't remember anymore?
Well, I'll say, well, I will. Everybody that I've spoken with about it, they refer to it as my outer body experience. Um, I first began to realize that I was dead, and it happened at a point where, if you recall me telling you in my as I advised you of what happened, there was a point where I was advising my sister in the hospital room that I was extremely cold.
Right.
And I was telling her, like, it's cold in here. So in the hospital room, there's like a glass, there is like, they have the glass doors, and there's the white curtains that they always pull and, open to come behind and so forth. In the emergency room I was in, there was just my bed and all of these machines and a curtain. When I realized that I was dead, I was actually standing over myself. Um, I get chills when I talk about it, but yeah, I was standing over myself, and I was standing over myself watching my mom, and she was pretty much praying and crying over me. Um, where they assumed that I was not conscious, they assumed that I was basically surviving off of a machine. Um, I was like watching myself go through these things. I was watching myself have these different surgeries. I was watching myself and watching my family as they cried over me. And I knew for a fact that once I left the hospital in my coma or in my outer body experience and was taken to different phases of different people's lives that was around me, my mom, my dad, I was able to talk to people that I never met before. And the realest connection to the other world is what I'll refer to it as. For me, was my mom's daughter. My mom had a child prior to me being born. Me and my other siblings. She would today be 34 years old, but she died at a very young age. However, I was able to see her, and she was like my guide. Like, she was guiding me everywhere I was going, and she was explaining certain things to me that wouldn't make sense to Kia before this situation. But it was confirmed that for me, when I woke up and explained to the people in front of me, my mom, my dad, my sister, everyone around me, who this girl was, and I never met her before. Um, when I was able to explain to my mom a baby that she held, seeing her as an older adult, but explaining exactly how she looked, explaining her eye color, her hair texture, her smell, explaining this to my mom, and her as an adult. In my other world, she was pregnant. I asked her to let me know that whatever was going on was not, it wasn't false. I needed some type of clarification that where I'm at and what I'm going through is not just made up. Like, I'm not off medication from the hospital. I'm not being delusional. I'm not delirious. My mom's oldest daughter name was Kendall. God rest her soul. My mom then had a child named Kayla, which followed right behind Kendall, and then it was me. My oldest sister, Kendall, whom I seen in my outer body experience, she had on a big white coat, and she was like my doctor. And it was like I seen her giving real doctors, updates about me. Like, I need a little longer with her, like, no, but tell them she's okay, but I need a little longer with her, type of thing. Like, we're not done here yet, but let them know she's going to be okay. So on the outside, I'm watching myself improve. I'm watching myself, the machines. I'm watching the test results get better, but I'm still in a coma. However, I'm still being taken through a journey with my sister, whom I've never met before. Um, at the end of me and her journey, she ended up telling me that she will always be with me. And I was explaining to her, no, I need to know how. Like, everybody's always saying that somebody's watching over you, but I've never had that clarification that, somebody was actually watching over me. And I asked God, like, whatever is going on right now, I need you to tell me that this is real. Like, if you coming through, like, just let me know that this is real. When I ended up waking up out of my coma, maybe a week or two had went by of me telling everybody around me what I had just experienced. And they were looking at me like, she done lost her mind. The doctors is telling them, like, don't mind her. She may talk out of her head a little bit, but it's just the medication that she was on. It's just the medication. I'm telling them, like, no, it's not no medication. Like, I know what's going on here. Like, no, this is not this. So for a while, I'm like, they're gonna end up putting me in a mental health complex because they think I'm crazy. And I'm really trying to explain this to them. But it was just like what I was saying was strictly blamed on medication. It was strictly blamed on me still coming conscious and so forth. So I ended up telling my mom and my sister, like, Kendall was pregnant when I seen her. She was pregnant and her stomach was big. She told me she was gonna stay with me, and I'm gonna show y'all. Like, I'm gonna prove it to y'all one day. But I never knew how Kendall, was going to prove to me that what I had just experienced was real. I want to say maybe like a month later, my sister Kayla, which is the second oldest that came right under Kendall, she came around and she was advising us that she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
That she was pregnant. I now have a nephew. He is going on 2 years old this year, December 1st, but she she was pregnant. And I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. Like, I know this wasn't it. Like, that couldn't have been the sign. So it still was kind of bothering me. And I just started having the craziest dreams that I would be taken right back to a moment of touching her belly while I was in my coma. But not my sister, not the one that's alive, the one that I seen in my outer body experience. And it was just almost like, if this is my confirmation, you would give it to me through this baby. Once my sister's son was born, his face was almost identical to my sister that I
Oh,
seen in my outer body experience.
oh, wow.
So my sister, they probably, my siblings and my mom, they probably all just be like, Kia is probably, there's a sense of my mom that she strongly believes me. She deep, like because it's just like so weird that I'm telling her this stuff and she's like, okay, now you scaring me some, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know, but I just take it as I was able to do something that not everybody is able to do. I do deeply feel in my heart that I did die. And if my hospital records are show, I died. Every organ in my body was dead for a total of 8 minutes. A total of 8 minutes. And they were able to bring me back off of antibiotics, off of, amputating my body. But I'm able to talk about what I went through. Normally, what are the odds that I didn't lose no function in my brain? I lost zero function behind my eyesight. Everything that I experienced in that moment is almost like it never happened. I would feel like I was born this way. I don't now suffer from any complications, thank God. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about because I'm trying to understand. How do you get around? And how do you use your hands to do all the things? Because just right before we get on air, I don't know if well folks don't didn't see it, but you said okay, you're gonna go get a headphone, and you left. You
Yeah,
went to get a headphone. So it's not debilitating. You don't feel like you're disabled. You're very able-bodied. You do everything. You use your hands. You do everything. So
absolutely.
it doesn't really hinder you at all.
It doesn't, because I still have my mind that I know the things that I was able to do before this happened, and I can't just like take it away from my brain. It's stuck there. It's in my head that I know how to do it. So the only thing left for me to do now is just like put it into action. Throughout life we have to learn how to do things all the time. So it was just like I know how to do it in my head. It's all about actually just doing it. When things get hard, for instance, my hand, I lost the ability to use my dominant hand. I'm a right handy, and I had to learn how to use my left hand because I have the most limitation on this hand. But it's still difficult for me. So what I do is I make use of my hand. Prior to this, I couldn't move my hand at all, but because I keep going, I stretch my hands, I will take anything, literally. If I need to write something and this cord is here, I'll take a pen and wrap it around and I'll just get to going. Like, I just try to keep pushing, Like, we could find so many reasons as to why we can't do things, but not find every reason as to why we can't. So I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get it done. And I got two kids watching me. I have a now 8-year-old son. He's learning how to write. I can learn how to write with him. I have an 11-year-old daughter. She's learning how to wash dishes. She's learning how to clean up. Oh well, we finna learn together. I still have my mental where I know how it should be done. So we're gonna implement it together. And I still get to spend time with them. I still get to teach them. And I still get to show them that it's okay to have error. There's always room to rewrite what was done. It's your life. You have that control over it.
Right, right. What about recovery? What was the process of reteaching some of the skills, some of the things? From the time you got out of the hospital to up to the point, how long was recovery and what type of rehabilitation you had to do?
Whew. Recovery was another story for me. That was like a whole nother process outside of what occurred. It was like a whole nother traumatic recovery process. And I say that because being in recovery for me consisted of trying to get off of opiates, trying to get off of morphine, trying to get off of oxycodone because that's all my body knew. That's all my body was fed for half of a year. Um, it was trying to deal with the pain of feeling like I have fingers and feeling like I have feet and I don't have them. It was the hard moments of trying to get up out of my bed, thinking that I still had 2 feet, forgetting that they were cut, and I would fall on the floor, but laugh it off and try to get back up. Or even if it was just a matter of not being able to eat because of what was about 15 different surgeries on my fingers, and each time my hands are wrapped up in like um boxing gloves. So I had to wait for somebody to feed me. I had to wait for somebody to help me to the bathroom, and not saying that I was like, treated badly or anything like that. It was just something that I couldn't do on my own that I was used to. Washing my body, it was just like, oh my goodness. Everything was pulling me to the depression word. Everything was pulling me into the depression word. But every time I wanted to fall, it was like a constant reminder of you can't, you can do it. A constant reminder of you can't, you can do it. And I had just got so faithful with talking to God. I would always be like, God, you left me here. And I need you to tell me, I need you to show me that you left me here for a reason. I know you didn't leave me here for my kids to watch me go through this like this. I know you didn't leave me here for me to just suffer. Like, I can't be that bad of a person. And if I am, whatever it is, I'm sorry, but help me. Like, I need it. And every time I talked to him, everything started to change. Everything was changing for me. Like, it was almost unbelievable to the point where I had to tell somebody, like, watch this. I got these opiates that I'm sprung out on. I told my doctor, like, listen, you're not gonna do it. I was in the hospital every other day because where I thought I didn't need to take a pain medication because I wasn't feeling any pain, my body needed it because that's what all it knew. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just continue. God, I can't get strung out. I cannot end up like this over here on these pills with my kids. This is the only time I feel good is when I'm high off of this pill. I'm always upset. I can't eat. Like something has to shake. Like I can't do it. So I would pray. I went to my doctor. I told her, like, I'm praying that I don't have to take this. I don't know if it's going to hospitalize me, but I'm just letting you know ahead of time in case you get a note that says key is back in the emergency room. This is what I did. She's like, we're going to figure something out. I'm at home. I'm praying. God, give me some sort of sign. Just give me a sign. And we could be at home all day watching TV and never pay attention to the little infomercials that come across or whatever. And just so happened, a commercial came on and it was like, we have this medication called Suboxone. It's like a little tab you stick on your tongue. It'll help you get off this medication. But be careful because you can also, get addicted to it. Long story short, I ran into my doctor. Like I recorded it on my phone. Like, look at this commercial. I need to try it. I don't care. I want to try it. She gave it to me, and I literally was off of opiates like in a day, and it went from me being stuck on this stuff for like almost a year to literally asking God to remove it, just remove it. I can't focus with it, remove it. And literally my problems, like they were just getting solved back to back, back to back, back to back. So once I noticed that, I kept going. God, I know you tired of me, but I'm here again. I need help. I need this. I know it may take you a minute, but I know I'm telling you now, and things would be changing. It would be changing, and it's still changing. Like it's still changing. I'm really shocked at myself. I kid you not. A lot of people tell me like, "Here, you blow my mind," and I'm like, "Hey, I blow my own mind because I can't believe it either."
Wow. And as I said earlier from the top, a lot of people sit there and, yeah, honest to God, we worry about other things. We worry about so much things, vanity, things that we don't even really need, and that stresses the hell out. But look at you, and you have your whole life has changed in a matter of your whole life changed in a matter of hours. From a perfectly healthy person to now, you're still very healthy, but now you lost the ability to walk and your fingers, and you are living through this, and you are smiling, and you are understanding the simpler things in life, which is life itself. No big vanity fingers. You can't write with the left, you write with the right. You can't write with the right, you write with the left. And
Absolutely.
that is, I think, one of the key takeaways from this discussion here today. This is this is this is powerful, and this is absolutely strong. Where where do you go from here? Is there any? Are you looking at getting prosthetics, or what is the process? Are there any aspiration to do other things, or to get implants, anything like that?
Well, right now I do have prosthetics. That was another thing for me. At first, waking up, it was like, yeah, I lost the ability to walk, but we're like in 2019 at that moment. So I know that the way technology and the world and the way the brain works for the human, we can come up with different, things to do. So I really didn't lose the ability to do anything. I gained the ability to learn it to do another way. And that's really what that was like the lesson out of it all, like, okay, yeah, I may not be able to walk with feet that are grown from my body, but I can walk on stilts, I can walk on poles, and I don't have feet to do that. I'm literally walking on my bone, but I have the world now has things that are accessible for us to be able to use. As far as like cooking and everything else, like I said, I have it in my head that I know how to do it. When it comes to actually doing it, it may take me a little longer, but I know how to do it. I cook my kids food. I make sure I drive them to school. I pick them up, And no, it didn't happen overnight, but with practice and just going for it, yeah, I got where I needed to be. And trust and believe me, I done did some of the craziest things. My first time behind the wheel, I crashed a car. And, these are the things that happen. And guess what? I'm like, okay, it was a mistake. It could have been worse, but it wasn't. What I hit wasn't a body, it wasn't a human. Nobody was hurt. I wasn't hurt, but it was just a lesson. And that's how I feel. Everything presented in life it's a lesson. And pretty much how you go about taking that lesson defines you. You know what I mean? Like, I was presented a lesson, I was presented a very difficult test, and in my opinion, I feel like I'm passing. And I wouldn't say I passed, but I'm passing because I'm coping with it. I'm learning to deal with it in a better way. I'm learning to, not look at something that happened so traumatic as a bad thing. Yeah, it looks like, oh dang. I could look at it as I lost my legs, I lost my fingers, I can't take it anymore. I can't do this. What am I here for? But I lost legs, I can get new ones. I lost my fingers, I can still figure out how to write. I can still get fingers if I wanted to, but I'm just so comfortable in the way that I am, and I'm comfortable in knowing that I have the ability to do things different. I have the ability to still learn that there's more to life than just being, you know, normal. I'll
Right.
say that. So, I mean, I'm okay with it. It doesn't affect me. I still do the things that normal individuals do. It is, however, more difficult to be able to access certain things like prosthetics and prosthetic fingers and so forth, because the world feels as if a standard, as long as you can get from A to B, prosthetics, that's good enough for you. You know what I mean? Well, I'll say the United States. I won't say the world, the United States. A lot of they feel if you go to next steps of being able to get prosthetics where you can run or you can actually go out in the field to work again, that those are cosmetic. They're not a necessity. So what I chose to do is build my image and basically build an image off of myself for people and children that do need these type of things and that want to be out in the world, that may experience something traumatic like losing a finger, losing a leg, and don't know how to get back out in the world, because it's challenging. But because I have a strong mind, I don't allow the things in the world to affect me and how I go about things. But everybody is not as strong minded as I am. Everybody is not as easy to block out the things of the world like I can. And I understand that. And yeah, it took me a while to get there. So everyone is not there yet. And that's completely understandable. But I want to make it easier for those that are not there yet. I want to make it easier for the people that down the line that don't know that may eventually experience having an amputation. That even with sepsis, like it being so easy, you can go outside and get a paper cut, go in the house and think just because you slapped a band-aid on, you're okay. You could be sitting and that once the bacteria get in your body, and if you didn't alcohol and wipe that stuff down, you can be set up to go in sepsis. And sepsis can go from sepsis to severe sepsis, which is what I had, in seconds. And once that happens, it's like fatality or amputations. I reached fatality and amputations, but I was able to be revived from what I was in.
Yeah. And I think another takeaway is that for everyone that's watching, this is not far fetched. As she said, this sepsis, you could get a paper cut. Something could pierce your skin, as simple as that, and you could get sick. So this is not far fetched. It doesn't only exist in one part of the world or doesn't exist on the other. Anybody could 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 catch this, and I think it's an important lesson to learn, guys. And I come back to my original statement: when we look at life and the vanity of life, I think we really need to just focus on life itself, living and being a good person and enjoying life and doing all these things, loving your family and having fun with your family and all these things. Those are important things. And I think that, I hope, I should say, the folks that's watching get that takeaway from today's program, because that, I think, it should be the moral of the whole entire story. We had a time frame right now for wrapping up. I want you to give us some last closing words for the folks that are watching right now, especially the people that are going through a lot at this point in time. Um, there's so much that the world is fighting. People are very, very stressed. I don't know if you have any words of encouragement or strength to the people that are going through personal issues, vanity issues, or whatever issues right now. If you have any words to leave with them before we leave.
Absolutely. I would just say eat every day, of course, is never going to be perfect. The perfect life does not exist. But as long as you know that you are learning from everything that is presented to you and you are going about it the best way that you know, um, keep praying and just try to make every situation, like, find everything positive about it. Even in negative situations, try to find the best situation about of it, because if we soak ourselves in the negativity, that's eventually what our mind will be trained to think and be trained to go off of. If you focus more on the positive outlooks and the positive situations and, the positive ways to go about things, you will eventually train your mind to think more positive. And that comes in every aspect, not just for me and the traumatic situation I've been through, but for you and anybody else. Just always try to find the better in every situation and train your mind to think better and be more positive.
Wow. Perfectly said. Thank you so much, Kia, and for your strength
No problem.
and
Thank you.
sharing your story here with us. Really, really, really sincerely appreciate it. And I think the folks that's watching appreciate it very much as well. Thanks again. Kia, we're going to keep in touch, all right?
Thank you.
All right, bye bye. You guys got a taste of what I call reality. It's a reality call. Yeah? A reality wake up call, Dread. Stop wasting all that time and energy worrying about pleasing the next person, especially on social media. The world has become so much vanity fested. Yeah? We like all we just get consumed with things that are that are unnecessary. We frustrate ourselves about things that are very, very unnecessary. I got a call earlier today, right? And a mother confided in me. I told her I would share the story, but I wouldn't call her name, by the way. So she was saying that her daughter came to her and was telling her that she was very, very depressed. Her daughter is about 14, 15 years old. So her daughter grew up in that technology age where they know all about, they're all on social media. I mean, everyone's on social media, but these generation, they are on everything, right? Their life really revolve around likes and what people think and what people say and stuff like that. Her daughter came to her and told her that she was feeling very depressed, by the way. It's good because the daughter have that communication with her mother. It's good that she's confiding in her mother. That's a good thing. So she inquired to find out more why she was feeling depressed. And her daughter said that she posted a bunch of her best pictures that she deemed as some of her best takes, right? Different, pictures on Instagram. And as compared to the day before, her pictures did not get any much traction or attention. So because of that, today she feel depressed because somehow she feel like she's ugly today, or she feel like she's not beautiful today, or she feel like she's not, she's losing some, I don't know, she don't feel beautiful today. And the mother had to knock herself into that mode to try to explain to her daughter that social media should not dictate or tell you, or you shouldn't put that, let social media dictate how you feel about yourself. And funny enough, a lot of people are like that. Social media and the way how people think about them basically shape their entire life. It's so true. We have to somehow go back to reality, where we ourselves could love ourselves for who we are, not what others, how others think about us. And no, you're not ugly or not beautiful or lost beauty if somebody don't like your picture, or if somebody don't share your picture, or if somebody don't thumbs up. You didn't get uglier overnight. No. But it's a serious topic. So even our kids that are living that life, that are very active on social media, we have to have that conversation with them. Because a lot of kids, you will be surprised to know how much kids feel the exact same way. It's a true fact. It's a true fact. But as we heard from Kia here today, all of these things are vanity. And we should understand all these things are vanity. It's not necessary. Really, it's not necessary for life. We need to focus back on the things that are important and essential for life. Have fun. Spend time with friends. Laugh. You know what I mean? Enjoy life. It's important that you do that. Kia, I thank her again for sharing that story with us. Paula Donaldson, I'm in Jamaica to the start. God is good, sis. Continue to stay strong from Jamaica. Yeah. Thank you so much, Paula, on YouTube that's watching. Thanks to Rita for commenting. Also, Yvonne James over on YouTube. All the folks on Facebook and all the folks around the world. Guys, sometimes we have to also disconnect. As much as we are also on social media, we have to disconnect sometimes from that world and come back and live in the reality world a little bit. Take out your shoes and walk outside barefoot. Live a little bit. It's important. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program today. We appreciate you so much. I love this type of programs. I love to bring that, reality check to our viewers. It's very, very important. But not everybody are prone or in agreement with positivity, as we spoke about. But let's stay positive, guys. Let's stay positive as best as much as we can. All right. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Say thanks to my producer, Lois JJ, for working on this story for weeks. Lois JJ have been working on this story for weeks, and we appreciate her so much. She does so much to ensure that variety program exists on this platform, and we're able to help people, empower people around the world. Thank you, guys. Deon Fraser, I saw you came in a little bit late. Gail and everyone and Team Ride Along. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Folks on YouTube, thanks again. Peace out. Good night.
Nobody control me. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a lion power. Strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Strength. No weakness. Show me a lion power. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemy
David Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-38.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.
David Williams Funeral Service serve you